welcome to today's Black History Month goodie bag number 11. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad that you're able to join me today. On that note, I do need to say, for today's particular goodie bag, it's a little bit difficult to hear. So if you are watching this with a young person, I really would encourage you to watch it by yourself first. And then you can decide what's best to share and what to leave out. You know your child. You will know how to filter the information. I do think that this is a topic that is important and can be discussed with young people, but not every young person is able to handle all of the information. So do please watch it yourself and decide what they need to hear and what they need to know. Thank you. All right, let's jump right in. If you saw yesterday's goodie bag, you will know that I am entered into the civil rights area. Civil rights movement area. Okay, yeah, so if you saw it yesterday, you also learned that the civil rights movement was a time period in history where African Americans worked together intentionally in an organized manner to end racial discrimination, and they were fighting towards equality. Now, the time frame for this was between about the 50s and the 60s, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. One person from this era. This person's name is Emmett Till. Now, hopefully you've heard about this, but just in case you haven't, please hang on to your seats because the story is kind of a sad one. Important to share, but a sad one. Emmett Till was 14 years old. He was from Chicago, Illinois, and he was coming down to visit his family and his relatives in Mississippi. Now, right off, that should tell you something. Like, we've got Chicago, that's up here in the north, and Mississippi, which is down here in the south. And you know, down here in the south, you have areas where the racial tension was much more intense. So on this particular day, the day of the event that happened, Emmett Till had been in a store with his cousins. On his way out of the store, he happened to flirt or maybe whistle to a white woman who was in the store. Now, being youngsters, he was 14, him and his cousins, they kind of ran off laughing. Well, this white woman, she had a husband, and about 2 or 3 days later, the husband and his half-brother, they found where Emmett Till lived, and they abducted him. He was found 3 days later in a river. He had been beaten, he was mutilated, a fan had been tied around his neck, and he was drowned in a river. The shocking news is that even after the jury deliberated, an all-white jury, they found the man innocent, and they got off. And a couple years later, even after, because of double jeopardy, where you're not able to try the person for the same crime, 2 of the people who were there who had been involved in that murder admitted to doing it. It even came out later that even the woman who had reported it admitted later that she had exaggerated what had happened. The mother decided to have it be an open casket. She wanted people to see, and there were thousands upon thousands of people who came to that viewing to see what had happened to her boy. It was one of the events that helped to catapult the civil rights movement onto the next level. And what I wanted to say is because it impacted me. You can imagine back then it impacted me because that's difficult to hear that, you know, he was a boy. He was 14 years old. 14 years old. Chased down like a dog and killed, lynched. He was lynched. And what stands out to me today about that situation and thinking about all the unrest and the upheaval going on today is that this happens today. There was something recently that happened where Amy Cooper and Christian Cooper, not related, same last name but not related. Anyway, Christian, the black man, had been walking through, he's an avid bird watcher, Amy, though, was also walking through the bird walking area, and her dog was unleashed, and all he did was request that she leash up her dog. Well, at some point, I suppose Amy felt like, oh, she was being harassed and all of this, and she said that she would call the police, and she said it in a way to him that was threatening him, and he said, well, do whatever you have to do, and he showed no fear at that point. But the thing that was remarkable is when she called, she specifically said, there's a black man here, right? Like, she knew that by using that, she was like waving a red flag or playing a card like, oh, the black man thing is here and he's, trying to attack me. And I find that that's sad that all the way back then, with Emmett Till, like, that's what the offense was, that a white woman in today's society would know that she would know that would have some sway or would have some pull. And I think that that's really interesting, like, if you really think about it, like, and I know that sometimes some of my black brothers and sisters, or my white brothers and sisters, may say, like, racism doesn't happen, or I don't see it, I don't know what. But it's things like this that happen, like, every day that, black people have to deal with, and white people don't. And because they don't, then they don't see it, and they don't think that it happens, and they don't think that it's a problem, and they don't think that it's an issue. But it's incidents like this that happen, and they're compounded, that make them a crime against humanity. It makes them a crime against a person because of the color of their skin. So that was today's, and I know it was a little bit deep, but I just had to mention it because it's so important, this issue, and it was also important. I had to throw in, like, how that parallels to today, things that happen in today's society. It's being aware. It's being more aware of these issues. Okay. I want to thank you. And if you watched the whole thing, I want to thank you for hanging in there because it was a tough one. All right? So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's goodie. And if you did, do please share because everyone loves a goodie. All right. I will see you